when my son called and said, "Dad, I hope you don't mind, but we're bringing a few extra people for Thanksgiving." I assumed he meant maybe 5 or 6 relatives. Then I heard my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, laughing in the background a few. She said, "It's only 40 people. My whole family is coming. They're all excited to spend Thanksgiving at your beautiful house." For several seconds I said nothing. 40 people, not including my son, Vanessa, or me. 40 relatives expected to arrive at my home, eat my food, use my rooms, and celebrate as if my house were a free vacation resort. I looked around my quiet dining room. The house had belonged to my late wife, Margaret, and me for nearly 30 years. We had raised our son Daniel there. Every corner carried a memory. Margaret had loved Thanksgiving more than any holiday. She used to spend days preparing the meal, filling the house with the smell of roasted turkey, cinnamon, and warm bread after she passed away. Thanksgiving became difficult for me. I still cooked a small dinner every year, mostly because I knew she would have wanted me to continue the tradition. But Vanessa had never cared much about tradition. She cared about appearances. She loved telling people that her father-in-law owned a large house. In a quiet neighborhood, she loved posting pictures from my garden and calling it the family estate. Even though she had never contributed a single dollar toward maintaining it, I finally asked Vanessa, "Did you invite 40 people to my house without asking me first?" There was a short silence. Then she replied, "Well, Daniel said you wouldn't mind." Daniel quickly added, "Dad, it's just one day her family is traveling from different places, and they need somewhere large enough to gather." Did anyone ask me before making these plans? Not exactly, he admitted. Vanessa sighed loudly. "Why are you making this difficult? You live alone in a huge house. It's Thanksgiving families are supposed to share." That sentence bothered me more than the number of guests. You live alone in a huge house. As if living alone meant I had no right to decide what happened inside my own home. As if the years I had spent paying the mortgage, repairing the roof, caring for my wife, and raising my son meant nothing because there was now an empty bedroom upstairs. I could have refused. I could have told them to find a restaurant or rent a hall. But instead I smiled perfect. I said Vanessa sounded surprised, really. "Of course, bring everyone." Her voice immediately became cheerful. "I knew you'd understand. We'll arrive Wednesday evening so we can prepare everything. My aunt is bringing desserts. My cousins are bringing drinks, and several people will probably stay overnight." "Wonderful," I replied. Then I ended the call. I sat quietly for several minutes, staring at the old photograph of Margaret on the mantel. She always used to say kindness is beautiful. But people should never mistake kindness for permission. I had been too patient with Vanessa for years. When Daniel married her, I welcomed her into the family. I helped them with their first apartment deposit. I paid for repairs on Daniel's car. When Vanessa lost her job, I covered several months of their bills. Each time she promised she would repay me. She never did then 6 months earlier. She had asked if she and Daniel could move into my house. I agreed, but only temporarily. Within 2 weeks, Vanessa began acting like she owned the place. She rearranged my furniture without asking. She complained about my old photographs. She told me I should turn Margaret's sewing room into a guest bedroom because the past shouldn't take up so much space. That was when I asked them to move out. Daniel was upset, but Vanessa was furious. She told several relatives that I had thrown them out for no reason. Now she was bringing 40 people to my home. Maybe she expected me to be embarrassed into accepting everything. Maybe she believed I would spend hundreds of dollars feeding her relatives because I was too polite to say no. She was wrong the next morning. I called my attorney, his name was Robert, and he had handled my legal affairs since Margaret passed away. I explained the situation. He laughed for a moment, then asked, "What do you want to do?" "I want to make sure my home is protected." "It already is," he said. "The house is entirely in your name." "I know, but I'm planning something." 2 days later, Robert arrived with several documents. For years, I had planned to create a family trust. I wanted Daniel to inherit the house someday, but I also wanted to make sure it remained protected. After what Vanessa had done, I made a different decision. I placed the house into a trust that would preserve it as a family property, but Daniel would not automatically receive ownership. He would have the right to live there only if he respected the conditions Margaret and I had established. The house could never be sold to pay someone else's debts. It could never be used as collateral, and no spouse could claim ownership through marriage. Robert looked at me after I signed the documents. "Are you sure yes?" I said, then I smiled. Thanksgiving is going to be interesting. Wednesday evening arrived at exactly 5 p.m. 3 large vehicles pulled into my driveway. Then another, then 2 more. People climbed out carrying suitcases, coolers, boxes, sleeping bags, and bags of groceries. Vanessa walked toward the house like she was greeting guests at a hotel. "Welcome, everyone," she shouted. "Make yourselves comfortable." She did not ask me if they could come inside. She simply opened the front door and led everyone through. Within minutes, strangers were sitting on my furniture. Children were running through the hallway. Someone placed muddy shoes on my living room table. A man I had never met opened my refrigerator and asked if I had more beer. Vanessa stood in the kitchen giving instructions. "You can use the downstairs bedrooms." She told one group the upstairs rooms are available too. "Uncle Gary, you can sleep in the study." "That room is not available," I said. She turned toward me. "Why not?" "Because it's my study." "It's only for one night, no." She rolled her eyes. "Fine. We'll figure it out." That night I barely slept. People were laughing loudly downstairs until after midnight. At one point I heard someone say, "This place is incredible." Vanessa said her father-in-law is leaving it to Daniel. Another person replied, "Then Daniel and Vanessa will own all of this someday." Vanessa answered before I could, "Of course, it's basically ours already." I stood in the hallway listening. She did not know I was there, and she did not know what I had signed 2 days earlier. Thanksgiving morning was even worse. The kitchen looked like a restaurant during its busiest hour. People were cooking food I had never approved. Someone had moved Margaret's old serving dishes. A child knocked over a framed photograph. Vanessa did not apologize. Instead, she walked into the dining room and said, "We need more tables. Can you move your things into the garage?" "My things, yes. We need space for everyone." I looked at her. "Vanessa, this is my home." She crossed her arms. "And where are your family?" "No," I said calmly. "Family doesn't mean taking control of someone else's home." Several relatives nearby became quiet. Vanessa's face tightened. "You agreed to this." "I agreed to host Thanksgiving." "I didn't agree to give away my house." She stepped closer. "You're embarrassing me." "No," I replied. "You embarrassed yourself when you invited 40 people. Without asking, Daniel entered the room. Dad, please. Can we just enjoy the holiday?" I looked at my son. "Did you know Vanessa told everyone this house would belong to you?" His expression changed what she told them. "It was basically yours already." Vanessa immediately said, "I didn't mean it that way." "Yes, you did." Several people exchanged uncomfortable looks. Then I walked toward the dining table. The turkey was ready. The food had been placed on serving trays. Nearly everyone had gathered around. I raised a glass before we eat. I said I would like to say a few words. The room became quiet. "I'm grateful that so many people are here today. Thanksgiving is supposed to remind us to appreciate what we have and respect the people who share it with us." Vanessa smiled, probably thinking I was about to welcome everyone. Then I continued. "Some people believe that generosity means they can make decisions. For others, they think a large home belongs to whoever has the loudest voice or brings the most guests." Vanessa's smile disappeared. "But this house belonged to my wife and me. Every room was built with years of work, sacrifice, and love." I placed a folder on the table. 2 days ago, I finalized a family trust for this property. Daniel stared at me. "What does that mean?" "It means no one automatically owns this house. Not you, not Vanessa. Not anyone who assumes they can claim it." Vanessa stood quickly. "You changed the inheritance because of me. I protected my home because you treated it like it was already yours." You're being cruel, no. I said I'm setting boundaries. The room remained silent. Then Vanessa turned toward Daniel. Say something. Daniel looked at her. Then at me for the first time. I saw embarrassment in his eyes. Vanessa, he said quietly, you invited 40 people without asking Dad. You told everyone we would own his house. That wasn't right. Her face turned red. So you're taking his side. There shouldn't be sides, Daniel replied. It's his house. Several relatives began gathering their things. One woman apologized to me. We didn't know you hadn't agreed to all of this. Another man said Vanessa told us you wanted a huge family celebration. I did want a family celebration. I replied I just didn't want my home taken over. Within an hour, many people had left. Some stayed for dinner, but the atmosphere was completely different. They asked permission before using rooms. They helped clean the kitchen. They thanked me for the meal. Vanessa spent most of the evening sitting quietly beside Daniel. After everyone left, Daniel remained. I'm sorry, Dad. He said. I nodded. I should have stopped this before it happened. You should have. He looked down. Do you really think I would try to take the house? No, I said. But you allowed Vanessa to speak for you, and silence can sometimes sound like agreement. He sat beside me. I don't want the house. He said, I want my father. That was the first honest thing he had said all day. I placed my hand on his shoulder. Then act like my son. Respect my home. Respect your mother's memory, and never allow anyone to treat kindness like weakness. Daniel nodded. A week later, Vanessa called. She apologized. Not perfectly, not immediately. But she apologized. She admitted she had become obsessed with the idea that Daniel would inherit everything. She believed having my house would make her look successful to her relatives. I told her success was not measured by the size of the house someone else owned. It was measured by how people behaved when they were welcomed inside. The following Thanksgiving, Daniel and Vanessa came alone. They brought a small pie. Vanessa asked before entering the kitchen. Daniel helped me set the table. And before dinner, we placed one empty chair beside Margaret's old photograph. We remembered her stories. We laughed, and for the first time in years, the house felt peaceful again. I learned something important from that Thanksgiving. You do not have to stop being generous. You do not have to close your door to everyone. But generosity without boundaries invites people to take more than you offered. Sometimes the kindest thing you can say is no, and sometimes the strongest answer is not anger. Sometimes it is simply a calm smile followed by the words perfect. Bring everyone, because people often reveal who they really are when they believe they already own what was never theirs.